I'll just give you a tiny bit of background, and good morning everybody, and thanks for having us. My little boy was born 11 years ago, and like Deputy O'Connell's child, had to be transferred to Crumlin from the Coombe. And little did I know, but that would be our home for the next 3 years. And of course it still is a big part of our lives, and we're in and out a lot. But children like my child, and many, many children around Ireland, cannot go on a Luas or a bus. My little boy's in a wheelchair, he's fed by a pump, he's often on oxygen, and requires a lot of medication. He's also immune suppressed, so public transport is out. Also, we live in Kildare. There is no public transport from my house, you know. It's really, really important, and remember that 90% of people bringing their child to hospital, and remember this is going to be the tertiary hospital, and this is for the sickest children. This is not for children with a broken leg. This is for the sickest children coming from all over Ireland. They will not be getting the Luas or the bus or the train. They will be coming by car or by ambulance. That brings me to access. And as you know, you've already heard about it, but from a parent's point of view, can you imagine driving your child when it looks like they're going to die and you can't get an ambulance? Can you imagine that? So you need a hard shoulder. You need the M50. St. James's site does not offer that. So it is not the right site. Parking is also really important. Can you imagine in the same situation getting to the hospital and you've nowhere to park? You need to take your child out in their wheelchair. You can't park in Crumlin, as somebody said to me before, and walk up. You know what the weather is like in Ireland. You have a vulnerable child that can't get wet. You have got to put yourselves into the shoes of parents like me and many, many others around Ireland. We're not that few and far between. There's quite a lot of us. And the importance of space is one of the biggest problems with the St. James's site. Without space, you know already there is no room for expansion. We know already that it's very unlikely that maternity co-location is possible. But there won't be any green spaces. We keep being told about this rooftop garden that will be the size of Croke Park. Well, it's not. It's almost the length of Croke Park, but it is not the size of Croke Park. It is oval. So it is a narrow space. It is split into two, so it's 1/3 of an acre on both sides. Then there's a little garden above that, which is 1/2 an acre, which must be evacuated if there's a helicopter landing. You know, all these things have to be taken into consideration. If you think of my little boy in a room of 10 by 12 feet for 3 years, he has hospital-acquired bugs like MRSA. He cannot leave his room. He also is immune suppressed, so he cannot leave his room for his own protection. There is no garden in Crumlin. We had our first walk around the streets of Crumlin, witnessed drug users on my way to the park. I was too far away from the hospital and I had to walk around the park to get home. My little boy was on oxygen, on a SATS monitor, and at that stage of our journey, I wasn't that competent and confident in caring for him without a nurse by my side. So you have to think of what our children need, and we have to give our children the very best thing that we can. We must give them space. The most important thing for a child is to be able to play. And remember, some of these children's lives are lived out in hospital, and my son could have been one of those, and they never get home. So it is so important for us to have green areas for them to play. And we know that nature has healing benefits. There has been studies done. There was patients on one side of a ward where there was a garden, patients on the other side. The patients that overlooked the garden, their wounds healed faster. Your mental health is better when you have fresh air and green pastures to walk in. You have got to think of the children. The children have not been considered. Quality of life is the most important thing. Hospitals are not just for dying, but they are also for living. And that's what our doctors are here for. And thank God we have doctors here advocating for the most vulnerable of society.